So I think we're going to move to our next speaker. She's moved from England to Wales, and I think now she's in Germany for a little bit. She is a darling daughter of Srila Gurudev. She's spent many years with him. She preaches very beautifully and holds the Bani of Srila Gurudev. And I'm always grateful to have her around. It's none other than our Caru Candrika Didi. Is she there? Yeah. Haribo. There she is. Don't know what pronounce.
No, okay. Haribo, Dandavat pronouns. So, shall I start?
Yeah, we can only see half of your face though.
Okay. How am I going to do this? Because
oh, that's okay. Maybe that's okay if it's difficult.
I have to find something.
Or unless you move back slightly.
Huh?
Unless you move back slightly.
Back slightly. Okay. Does that work? Okay. Sorry, I'm not very technical. Okay. So I'll begin. Omagina tamandasya gananjana slakaya. Chakshumli tamyena tasmai shri guruve namaha. Namo om Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyapane Shishima Bhaktivedanta Narayana Namane. Vanchakalpadrubhyascha Kripa Sindhabevacha Patitanam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Shri Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So before I begin, I'd like to offer my humble, most respectful obeisances, my heart like flowers at the dust of the lotus feet of my Gurudev, Om Vishnupadastata Sadashishi Mad Bhaktivedanta Narayana Gosvami Maharaj, and unto my Param Gurudevs, all Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, and all devotees on this Zoom program, and even not on the Zoom program, all our godbrothers and godsisters, and all followers of Srila Gurudev. So, wow, I am so blown away by this program you Shodananda Brew and Yasodhari Didi have been arranging. That it's been so sweet. Wow. I've been tuning in as much as I can. I've heard, I think, most of the classes, programs, sharings, and yeah, it's so nice to when you hear devotees open their hearts and really share what they've been given from Gurudev. So thank you for that. And Tapashri Maharaj spoke so beautifully just now. Anyway, I'm so grateful to hear everyone. So I was thinking this morning, really connecting with Gurudev and thinking about his qualities, his characteristics, so many things. And what really came to me was that when I think of Gurudev, I think, he was, or he is, I should say, is a real Brijbasi. But what kind of Brijbasi? He's a Palyadasi of Srimati Radhika. And what has he come to give us, essentially? And Tapashri Maharaj was touching on this, that he's come to give us Palyadasi Bhav, Radha Dasham. So therefore, his whole Sadhak Leela, his whole Acharya Leela was in that vein or for that purpose. So first of all, what did Gurudev teach us about the moods of the Brijbasis? They have pure love for Krishna. Gurudev would always say, they see Krishna as their friend or as their Lala, darling son or beloved. they have this Lokik Sabandhuvat. That means a familiar relationship based on natural intimacy, which resembles the love between like bosom friends in this world. That it's totally bereft of Vaishvarya bhav. That's like a mood of awe and reverence. Therefore, Gurudev, he never referred to any of us as his disciples. You'd never hear him say, my disciple. You never hear that. But rather he'd always say, oh, my darling son or daughter, like this. So we were just reading recently, every day we've been going through the Sri Damodarastakam of Gurudev's, and there says, Gurudev says, if we are to obtain Krishna, then we must love him more than he loves us, and only then can he be controlled. We will also have to love him with great intimacy. That means Vishvamba Bhav, and with Lokik Satbandhuvat. That means, as I explained, the same simple, natural attachment that the Brijbasis have. So Gurudev was saying that Krishna, he may be pleased by Aishvarya Prem, but he cannot be controlled by it. So, and also he explained that Sanatana Goswami, he said that, what is this? He described the meaning of Lokik Sabandhuvat. And he said it's characterized by intense possessiveness or mamata. So, therefore, the way in which Gurudev interacted with us was always with this mood of Lokik Satbandhuvat. So, why? Why? Because it was natural to him. Why? Because by interacting with us in such a way, then we would learn the moods of the Brijbasis. We would learn the moods of the Manjaris, of the Dasis of Srimati Radhika. Gopi means secret. So Gurudev, his whole way in which he interacted with us was like that. It was sometimes not so direct, even like indirect. We'd have to go a little deeper to understand what he was wanting to give us. So like this, he'd deal with us in such a way that he would stir our hearts. In that way, we would begin to develop more and more attachment to him, which is what he wanted. He wanted us to be greatly attached to us. And then from that mamata, then we could develop that possessiveness for his object of attachment, who is none other than Srimati Radhika. So, so in this way, I wanted to share with everyone how I came to meet Gurudev and some of the interactions that I would have with him, and how, looking back on those interactions, then that I can understand something, very little, but something of how he was trying to ingrain in us this mood of the Brijbasis, this mood of the Dasis of Srimati Radhika. So first of all, going right back, I joined ISKCON in 1991, and I'd been in ISKCON for like 3 years, and I hadn't yet taken initiation from any guru. I was searching, but I couldn't find anyone who was like Srila Prabhupada. I wanted a guru just like him. And at this point, you know, I didn't think it was even possible. Looking around, I thought, you know, I actually did meet Srila Govinda Maharaj on a number of occasions, and even had personal darshan with him like that. But somehow, I didn't come to accept initiation from him. So anyhow, I was praying and praying to Nityananda Prabhu, and I was staying at Bhaktivedanta Manor, so I was praying to Radhika Kulananda there. Please, 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 I want a guru, I want a pure guru. So then, actually I had a very good friend at that time, she was like a best friend, her name was Indulekha Didi, and she was initiated by Gurudeva in the early 90s. And she happened to stay at Bhaktivedanta Manor for some time. So now and then when I would meet her, she would share some of beautiful, sweet pastimes of Krishna that she'd heard from Gurudev. And I and a few other ladies at that time, we would be so attracted and really touch our hearts. And I heard from her, you know, some tattva siddhanta, like how we never fell from the spiritual world, and what, you know, that jiva tattva Gurudev would give about how we came from Mahavishnu, not we didn't fall from Goloka Vrindavan, like this. So I as soon as I heard that, I thought, yes, this makes complete sense. So, you know, I just love to hear from her, and I got a few books of Gurudev. So then in 1994, I went to Mayapur, Navadvip, and stayed at, no, what am I saying? I stayed in Mayapur, in the ISKCON temple there. And this Indulekha Didi, she came and she said, oh, do you want to come to Navadvip and meet my guru? And I said, yes, of course, definitely. So then she took me that time to Devananda Gaudiya, where Gurudeva was staying. And she took me straight in his room and, you know, paid my pranams, and Gurudeva was looking at me. And even I remember from that first encounter, he was looking at me with so much affection. And I was amazed because, like, I was, you know, ISKCON, like, so much awe and reverence to all gurus there. But even though I was nervous, like, all that nervousness went away, you know, very quickly. And we had a very sweet exchange. You know, he was asking me, you know, some things about myself and where I was staying, all these things. But that time I wasn't thinking, you know, to take initiation from Gurudev. You know, I was in ISKCON, I didn't want to leave ISKCON. So like that. Anyhow, later Gurudev came to UK in 1996. It was his first world tour. So then I, along with my husband, former husband now, we went to hear his lectures. Indulekha Didi had invited me, and I was going to the village hall near the Bhaktivedanta Manor at that time. So I was hearing, and, you know, Gurudev at that time, he had quite a strong Indian accent, and I wasn't so used to it, so I couldn't understand that much of what he was saying. But, you know, some things really stood out for me. And I remember he was speaking on this Shri Guru Charana Padma, this song, and it got to the line, you know, Prema Bhakti Yaha Hoiti Avidya Vinasayati. And he said, actually in this song, Srila Narottam Das Thakur, he said, Prema Bhakti Yaha Hoiti Avidya Vinasayati. But what comes first? Is it that Prema Bhakti will come into the heart, and then all our anarthas will go, all ignorance, avidya will go? Or is it that first our hearts must be cleansed of all the natas, and then Prema Bhakti will come. So, you know, suddenly my ears perked up, and I was like really eager to hear this answer, because I kind of was wondering this myself, you know, before. And then he asked some of the devotees, you know, do you know? And they were saying, oh, I think all avidya, all ignorance, all the natas must be first cleansed in the heart, and that then bhakti will come. And Gurudeva said no. He said first bhakti will enter the heart, prema bhakti, and then all avidya, all anatas will go. So when I heard this, I thought, wow, this, you know, really struck me. I thought, this is amazing, you know, like brilliant answer, and I was so happy to hear this answer. So anyhow, I was going to his lectures for a few days, and then Sharmarani Didi, she came up to me, you know, after maybe third or fourth day, I can't remember. And she said, oh, what are your plans? You know, how do you like the lectures? And, you know, you're going to continue to come? And I said, well, you know, I can't really understand Gurudeva's accent so well. I didn't say Gurudeva, I said Narayana, just accent so well. And, you know, we're thinking of going, my husband and I are thinking of going on traveling Sangatam from tomorrow. So then Shamani Didi said, oh, really? Well, you know, but he's continuing to speak. Why don't you continue to come? And I was like, well, you know, I'm not sure. We made this plan. She said, well, have you had personal darshan with him before? And I said, no. And she said, okay, I can arrange. And so she arranged. So I speed up a little bit. I went to Sridham Sakababu's house where Gurudeva was staying, and you know, Shamarani or someone, I can't remember, said, oh, you know, Gurudeva's in his room, you can go and speak to him now. And I wasn't really prepared, but I thought, okay, you know, and I went. And then I said to the first question I asked Gurudeva, I said, oh Maharaj, you know, we hear in this song, Chigu Chana Padma Chakudana Diliye Jami Jami Prabhu say that, you know, your guru is your guru birth after birth. And I was wondering, you know, how can we search and find our guru? How can we understand who is our guru? I had this idea, you know, somehow I'm meant to search and find and recognize who is my guru. So then Gurudeva, he gave a long answer. And then he said, actually, you cannot search and find Guru yourself, but Guru will come directly to you and he'll come knocking on your door. And then I was like, you know what, like, again, it was another like, wow. And then I looked at Gurudeva and I thought, oh, are you my guru? You know, that time I started to sing. And then anyhow, asked another question, which I'll maybe tell another time. So later on, I had another darshan with Gurudeva along with my husband, former husband. And what happened, we were sitting in the room, it was just Gurudeva and him and me. And then Ramnath Prabhu, he was pouring his heart out to Gurudeva and, you know, really like opening his heart and telling so many things, you know, what he'd been going through. And Gurudeva looked towards him with so much compassion. And I, you know, really, I just looked at Gurudeva and I could really see this like love emanating from him. And it was, wow, it was like a downpour of love. And then my heart melted and I started to cry. And I knew at that time, I said, this is really a pure devotee. I understood, you know, I'd heard about you know, of course, Srila Prabhupada and pure devotees. But then I just somehow, by his mercy, I got this experience of this is what it means to be a pure devotee. So then, this is what it means to be in the presence of a pure devotee, I should say. So then Gurudev turned to me and he said, "Oh, if you want initiation, I'll give you initiation." And at that time I was ready. I said yes. You know. So then to move on, I took initiation and I started traveling with Gurudev around England, and then I went to America. And anyhow, just to, you know, share that traveling with Gurudev, it was like entering another world altogether. You know, Gurudev was like, as we all had experienced, the embodiment of sweetness. So whenever you would interact with him, you would feel that sweetness, you would feel that love. And, you know, just by his merciful glance, his sweet words, you know, how he's joking, how he touched our hearts. So anyhow, also what was really amazing for me was, you know, in ISKCON I'd heard so many classes, but I'd never heard anyone describe Krishna Leela like Gurudev. It was as though, like, he would transport the whole audience to Braj. And as we know, he'd often say, "Oh, you know, come with me to Braj." And say, "Come with me to Braj, where that naughty boy Krishna is entering the homes of the gopis and stealing butter. Not butter, but their love and affection." So like this, he would capture all our hearts. And you know, I think Kishore Nanbu was just telling how even those with the hardest of hearts, like even those who had so much like resistance, their hearts would completely melt. So so I just wanted to tell also, you know, a few interactions that I had with Gurudev, and how they're so sweet and loving. So, you know, we know that Krishna is one of his like best qualities, maybe his best quality, is Bhakta Vatsalya, and Gurudev certainly, you know, is Shishya Vatsalya. So, you know, in the beginning when we were first traveling with Gurudev, then he would be so accessible and you could go and see him anytime, you know, speak to him. Like, it was so sweet. And Gurudev would speak very sweet pastimes, you know, from Gopi Geet, Venu Geet, Brahmara Geet, all so much nectar. We were like, you know, so eager to hear. So anyhow, one time I was in a lecture with Gurudev. I traveled with Gurudev from like 96 till he left this world in 2010. So that by his mercy dragged me, you know, somehow. So many interactions were asked, many questions. I wish I could remember all the questions and all the answers, but I can't remember them all. But anyhow, so one time I was in a lecture with Gurudev, and I was this was after some years, and you know, Gurudev was kind of a little less accessible. There was more and more devotees, disciples like this. So I remember I really wanted to get darshan of Gurudev, and Radhakanti Didi and myself, we were there. Gurudev was staying in a house, like in an upstairs room. So we were downstairs and we were thinking, oh, you know, if only we could get in to see Gurudev, but who is there? Jai and Vijay, like Madam March and Bhajan guarding, we used to call them. Anyway, so then we were just like watching, spying, seeing when they were leaving Gurudev's room, and it was an opportunity. So got the stairs and look, and okay, not possible now. But then Madam Marge left, Rajanath Prabhu left, and there was an opportunity. So we went scurrying up the stairs. We were like little excited children. and then one of us, we opened the door and peeped in to see Gurudev. And Gurudev immediately looked at us and he looked so happy to see us, like bright smile upon his face, and you know, he indicated, yes, come. So we both went in and sat down, and Gurudev, he turned to us that time and he said, oh, actually, you can come to see me anytime. He said, my door is always open for you. There can be no obstruction for you because you are my darling daughters, and therefore you can come anytime you like. So then, you know, when we heard that, we were so, at that time, Rajanath Prabhu would come in the room and he also heard, and I was like, yeah. But anyway, but, you know, this is the mood that Gurudev came with, that this Lokik Sabandhuvat, that he was like always speaking to us in this mood, like very familial mood. And afterwards, you know, I thought about what that meant. And I thought, oh, what he's saying, what he's meaning is, he's saying, because, you know, it's not always that, you know, any time of the day we can go into Gurudev's room, you know, 24/7. It's not like that. But what was his inner meaning? So I thought, oh, he's saying, the door of my heart is always open to you. So you can come anytime. So like this, he said, there's no obstruction. Like this. So, you know, now Gurudev's physically departed. But actually, this, what he said to us at that time, this is meant actually for all of us. Because the door of Gurudev's heart is so big and broad. And it's open to each and every one of us. And certainly we can approach him at any time, any time of the day, any time of the night, every moment we can approach him. So like this, Gurudev was teaching us this mood like the Brijvasis. Then I'll just say one more. I don't know how much time I have left, but I'll just say.
Candrika Didi, you're over time.
Oh, really? Can I say one more? Is it possible? Okay.
So really quick.
Really quick. So another time we were staying in Govardhan, and Gurudev, maybe it was the time when it must have been the time when this Gaudiya Gaudiya mat was being built, and Gurudev was staying outside in one dharmashala. So this one time he was sick, like sick Leela, and you know, no one was being allowed to see him. So Madhav Marj and Brajanath Prabhu, they were very strict. But at that time, we were arranging a drama, and I needed to ask Gurudev a question about the drama, you know, to make sure it was right, we get it right. So then I thought, oh, how is it possible? You know, no one's being allowed to see Gurudev. But I was thinking, oh, if only. Then that night I went to sleep, and Gurudev came into my dream. And I saw Gurudev and I said, oh, Gurudev, oh, good. I've been wanting to ask you a question. And so then I asked this question, that exact question that I wanted to ask him about the drama, which way we should do like this. So then Gurudev gave this answer in the dream, but it wasn't quite the answer that I was expecting. I was thinking, oh, okay. And then, you know, dream ended. So I thought, I want to check really if this is for real, that this is the right answer. So then I went, that day, I went over to Gurudev's room, and I thought, somehow I've got to see him. That time I went, he was coming out of his room, and I thought, okay, I'm going to ask this question. Then I paid my pranams. I said, Gurudev, and I can't remember the question. I blurted out the question. And then Gurudev, he looked at me like knowingly, smiling. And it was like, wow, I could feel him telling me, well, I already gave you this answer. But anyway, he told me the exact same answer as in the dream. And it was almost like word for word. And then afterwards, I thought, oh, I'm so foolish. Why? He told me directly. I didn't have any faith in this, you know. And then I was like, oh, I started to get some understanding. Oh, who is Gurudev? I'm thinking, what, he's ordinary? So no, Gurudev, like Brijbasi, like Manjari, sometimes directly telling, sometimes indirectly through dreams, so many ways. So he's teaching us, training us in this Manjari Bhav, this Radha Dasham that he came to this world to give. So sorry I went over time. I'm really sorry for that. And I'm really thank you for giving me this opportunity to say something in remembrance of Gurudev. At the end of Kartik, so nice time remembering Gurudev throughout Kartik, how he would take us on Brajmandal Parikrama, like Tapashri Maharaj was saying. And this year in separation, but being given an opportunity to remember Gurudev, remember the pastime places. It's been also very sweet here in Germany. So anyway, Panchakalpadrubhyascha Kripasindhavevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha.
Thank you so much, Candrika Didi, for your beautiful Pushpanjali. Actually, it's really beautiful. A lot of devotees, when we're asking them to speak about something about Srila Gurudev, they go back to the first time that they met him. And there must be something so powerful in that first meeting. It's like, actually, I know what it is that Gurudev stole all of our hearts at that very first moment. And no one can ever forget something like that, because he's literally taken everything that we had in our hearts, and he's taken it on himself. And you know, so I was remembering when I met Srila Gurudev, and I've spoken to many devotees about when they met Srila Gurudev, and it's the same kind of memory that no one will ever be able to kind of replace or take away from. And you were speaking about how, like, you know, in Kartik, Gurudev would speak about this Bandhan Leela, and you know, how Mother Yashoda had to be more loving towards Krishna. In Damadashkam, Gurudev explains this, and it just reminded me of that verse, Yasya Deve Para Bhakti, Yasya Deve Para Guru. You know, that that one that is qualified will see Guru and Krishna as non-different from each other. And it's that we're trying to do that with Gurudev, is trying to love him. Not that for me it's not possible, but to love him a little bit more, so that we can have that relationship with him. And you know, there's so many things that I could speak about, but we're obviously running out a little bit of time. But thank you so much for sharing with us, and hopefully we'll bring you back and you'll be able to share some more memories with us. So thank you for taking time out to spend with us.